Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. We're here in Brookshire County at our Houston Cargo Hub, and in this video we'll be connecting another resource up to Houston and just going over around the map and making sure everything is up to date and functioning as it should be. Alright, and so I think in this video we're going to focus on getting this construction materials plant up and running. And we will use stone from up here in these mountains just outside of Houston in order to supply them. And now I think this is going to be pretty interesting, as I want to keep this factory or this industry sort of inside the city limits, since that's sort of where it already is, but we'll make it look nicer. We'll build some roads around it so that everything looks fine. And I think it'll make a nice addition to Houston, especially with it being such an industrial powerhouse in the region with the oil wells here, the construction materials plant, and then of course we'll have the stone up here. So I think that'll really help with Houston's development and also the overall look of the city. However, before we get into this video too much, I want to come in and fix some of these roads and maybe even out the terrain changes a little bit. As you can see, this is probably one of the worst areas in the city in terms of terrain changes, so I'd like to smooth this out a little bit more, since these two roads are pretty much flat with each other, and then same for these two. I think we could maybe lower this road a bit more to help ease that a little bit. Alright, so now this area is a little bit better. It's not perfect, but it's a lot closer to being a little bit more even than it was before. So we'll leave that area now, and now we can focus on moving this industry, and I think we'll probably straighten up this road here and we'll get it placed somewhere in this area. And so I think while we're doing this, this will be a good opportunity for us to create a nice tram and road depot in this area. So we'll just continue to follow what we already had. So we'll have tram tracks here, and we'll just extend this road down. We'll figure out how we cap that off later, but I think now that should be good. We might just come in here and add a road coming across somewhere in this area. We don't need tram tracks anymore. I think maybe if we do this, that'll help lock us into a grid down on this end, and then that also allows us a nice square to put our industry and tram and road depots too. Alright, now I think with this plot of land laid out, we can now get into moving this industry and creating everything in here. So we'll be back once this area is filled out and fits nicely within the city limits. Alright, now I think we have an area that is suited pretty well for a construction materials plant. Hopefully as this goes and upgrades, it'll match the asphalt look that we have elsewhere. So here's where all of our stone will hopefully get dropped off, and then we'll actually also have to pick up from this same location, so I didn't think about that while we were building this. So hopefully this can handle all of the traffic. If not, we might have to build some sort of loading and unloading complex on the next block, or maybe over here. I'm not too sure yet. And then moving on to the other side, we have our road and tram depot. So we have our road depot with all the buses and trucks lined up and ready to go. And then over here at the tram depot, I wanted to have this set of tracks here come out and sort of be like a yard or repair station for some of the excess trams, but I don't think I actually have any tram assets that I can easily just place down. So I'll have to look and see if I can find something for trams, so then we can place some trams on these tracks here. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. It actually looks pretty nice. I'm sure once these industrial and commercial buildings start popping up around here, this will look a lot better. Now, because this is so close to the city, we'll want to protect everything that we put in over here. So we'll use a collision tile to make sure that the city doesn't just come in and place buildings all over everything that we just put our time and effort into. So we'll scale this up to be about the right size. Looks like that'll cover us that way. And then fine-tuning this so we only have to use one to cover the entire block. And so now with that in the proper location, we'll just right-click to build it, and now the city shouldn't try to do anything inside of this whole lot. Alright, so now we'll want to place our quarries up here. We'll get these placed. We won't detail them just yet. We'll save that for another time, but we will be using this road. Now this used to connect to our oil well roads, which we might keep it connected, but we really can't afford much more traffic on this road in here. So what I'm thinking is maybe we can reroute this and then bring it all the way out and connect somewhere up here to this road. That'll give a nice end to this street, as well as help inform us as the city continues to grow. Maybe we can build some more suburb type areas all the way out here. Now the only thing is, because we'll be running trucks on this road, it might be worth it to just go ahead and upgrade this to a 4-lane street already, just so we don't have to worry about shuffling things around later on. And so I think we will just go ahead and do that while we have the opportunity. It's not going to be terribly expensive because we do have a lot of the infrastructure ready and we're not going to be moving any buildings. So I think this will work out just fine. And now really all we have to do is move these quarries into some locations we like, build out the stations and everything that we'll need up here, and then connect these roads back up to where they're supposed to be. Alright, now we finally have our fleet of trucks heading out to pick up some stone. We'll adjust that as things go on, but it does look like it's routed properly. So it comes and it turns on this road that we upgraded, and it follows all the way up and out here into the middle of nowhere for now, and then connects up to this dirt road, which then works up the hill into the quarry area. Now we're going to need a lot more of these trucks to properly fulfill demand for all of these areas. So this will supply Houston, Salt Lake City, and Portland, much like everything else in this hub does. We'll see if we get there in this video, as it will take a while for these trucks to go back and forth. So that's just something we'll keep an eye on. But I think now we're pretty good in terms of having everything connected. Let's now make sure that we can drop these off. And it looks like we can just reuse this truck stop here. Although, it looks like it's getting pretty busy, so we'll just place one on the other side facing this way. And it looks like all of these trucks actually prefer that way. So we'll have our construction material trucks going in the opposite direction to that, just so that we don't end up with a huge line of vehicles at that one stop. But we'll start off with 6 of the Benz flatbed trucks, and we'll set these up on a new line coming from here up to here, and it looks like this works properly. It's a little annoying that it is going to flip around and come back this way, but I suppose there's not too much we can do about that. But we'll just let this run, and hopefully soon we'll start to see some construction materials coming out of this construction materials plant. Alright, while we wait for things to start working out here, I want to come through and make sure that none of our lines are going crazy. Looks like our Lincoln to Tacoma train line is losing us the most money. And let's see if maybe we can figure out why that's the case. So we can see here we did get an initial pop in profit when we initially upgraded these, and it almost looks like we just simply aren't transporting enough people out of Lincoln, and that definitely seems to be the case, as our bus stops are also overloaded. So I think now's probably the right time to really fix Lincoln and its bus network. So first of all, we're going to upgrade the main road running through Lincoln, and I don't think we'll be able to get this, yeah, we won't be able to get this upgraded all the way to the train station, but we can get pretty close. And then I believe we're just running a loop through Lincoln. I think we might want to start splitting that up into separate lines. So we'll get one that runs up and down this main road, which should cover most of the city anyway, and then we'll get one that sort of covers all the stuff that's starting to run up the hill. Alright, so now these 2 lines should cover us pretty well. We'll just have to redo everything. So we'll have this line, which will be the one that runs down our main street, and we'll have that just come straight back. And then we'll have the other line. This one will pretty much just do the same thing, but it will take the other path instead. So it'll start here, it'll come up to this one over here, and we'll actually share the same end station, but then it'll just come back the same way. And hopefully that will cover everything that we need it to, and both of these will still be fully functional and profitable as they should be. We'll just have to upgrade these to much better buses. And so we'll use this one since it has a capacity of 11. And we'll do the same thing on the other line. I don't think we need more buses. I think we can just upgrade these and they will do just fine themselves. But now we'll have to give that some time to update. And then hopefully we'll start to see more people leaving Lincoln at this train station. Alright, and so as we continue to wait for Lincoln, let's take a look at some of our other trains. So we have this line out here, our coal line apparently. Let's just make sure that that's not just some kind of outlier. But that does seem to be the case. It looks like we are actually losing money on this coal line. Let's see if it's the same for the iron line as well. The iron line we are making money. So I think the coal line, it just might be a simple case of it's just not fast enough. So that is interesting. These trains are leaving entirely full. Let's just maybe look through and see if there's potentially a better solution that could end up making us money. Alright, so we found something that might actually end up earning us money. It has a higher top speed because we recently downloaded some new cargo wagons. So we have this pressed steel hopper that has a top speed of 64 miles an hour instead of the usual 50. And then we're going to use this light Pacific engine to haul those. And what I'm mainly looking at here is our running costs. So it looks like our running costs did go up slightly per train, but hopefully if we can find this train, hopefully we'll watch this as it goes, but hopefully we'll end up seeing that this will make us some more money in the end. Alright, so this train looks to be doing about the same, if not maybe slightly better. It's a little hard to tell because we don't have much data on that. So I'm not too worried if these trains don't end up working out because they'll probably just end up being about the same as the previous line. So we won't need to worry about reverting back for that, but we'll let this run for a little bit, and then again, this will be something we check up on later on. And then another one of our big losers is our Houston to the Salt Lake City hub train, but this should get fixed as soon as we start sending construction materials on the return trips. And we can see it is making us money, it's just pretty infrequent with how it does it. Alright, and then probably the last line that we're going to take a look at here is this line here. I've been wondering why we haven't been leaving with a full load of logs, and at some point it looks like we actually broke the connection here with this industry. Now, I'm not too sure how we can fix that. There might be an opportunity where we can just extend this road. And let's see if maybe that connected it. Yeah, we can see we're just not getting that connection there. Now hopefully we can delete this road. Alright, and after some messing around, we ended up replacing the industry. It looks like it is back to being connected. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait for this industry to upgrade again. But it looks like it is back connected to this industry, the train station, and the truck stop, both. So hopefully now we'll see our trains here moving more logs back and forth, and we won't have to worry about it splitting everything with the truck stop. And so now I want to go around and just make sure that we don't have a huge backlog of anything at any of our stations. So for instance, machines here, we'll probably want to focus on getting those machines out to Roswell. We'll take a look at some of the bus stops and bus networks in some of our cities, such as Roswell could probably use another stop. We're not going to worry about this mess of roads at the moment. We'll come back and fix that later on. But first, let's start here with the machines. This obviously needs more trucks. So let's actually just upgrade these first to these Mack AC tarpaulin trucks. That should pretty much solve most of the issue by itself, as Roswell needs 300 something machines. And this is bringing them in at a rate of 400, so maybe we do need a few more trucks there, but it doesn't seem to be delivering it into the heart of where those machines are, so I think let's place down a new truck stop, and we'll try to even that out with this new stop. So we can just manage this line, no longer coming to here, unloading at this one, and then let's just get 5 more trucks. Again, we don't have to get all the way up to that full 300 number since we aren't covering every single machine in the city. So maybe if we get like mid to high 200s for this line rate, I'll be pretty happy with that. And so we'll stay with the 263. I think we could probably afford to upgrade this street to just a regular city street. That seems like something that would be the next logical step here. So that's now upgraded. And then moving on to our bus stops, we do want to get maybe one more up in this area, and then we can come in and adjust these lines to include this new stop. Alright, so now that has been fixed. Hopefully we increased the amount of buses on each line, so hopefully that'll help get these numbers down a little bit, get more people to and from the train station as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. We'll leave Roswell as it is, and we can take a look at some other areas of the map now. This Pittsburgh food truck line looks like it might need some help, as that number is getting pretty high. I think we have some decent trucks on here, so maybe we just upgrade that a little bit more. Let's see how much. Yeah, food is the main resource in Pittsburgh, so that doesn't surprise me that we'll need probably a very large number for all that. I believe we're unloading most of it over here, and I believe that is the line that needs most of the food. So yeah, we'll get even 2 more 165 rate for that. I think we'll be fine. Hopefully we'll just slowly start eating into that number, but we'll go from there. Now, Allentown seems to be doing well. One thing I want to do is increase our construction materials intake to Allentown. So let's first see where we're dropping a lot of these off. I believe that would be right here. And that's not an awful spot, although I think if we just move it down one more block, we can get it pretty much right in the center of all of those. So we can do something like that, and then we'll want to get our this line rate up to a little under 250. I think would be a good one. So we'll upgrade that. 232 is pretty okay for me. And then we'll want to make sure that we upgrade this line so that it's able to keep up. And I actually believe this line is actually keeping up pretty well. We will upgrade the trucks, as it definitely needs that. And then we'll probably have to sell a good amount of these to get it back down to a more reasonable line rate. So if we can get that just under 300, that would be great. 296 I think is okay, because Allentown will grow. And it'll also ensure that this boat always leaves full. And then we'll want to take a look at this boat. I think we could just duplicate it. I mean, that'd be perfectly fine, so we'll roll with this. And we'll see how Allentown reacts to that. Alright, so coming all the way back to Houston, it looks like we're finally getting some construction materials out here. I'm not entirely sure what's going on between the production and shipment numbers. So it looks like it has enough to supply Houston, and we're actually supplying Houston pretty well. And so I think we might be ready to connect this line up to this train station here. Now, again, this is something we want to be careful with because this road is getting pretty busy. I think what we're going to do is add another set of tracks to this train station, just so that maybe in the future, if we ever need to add more, we don't have to redo everything. So we'll do that. We'll throw down another set of cargo platforms. And then I think we'll even get some cargo buildings on this side as well, just so that we sort of have something over here. And then we'll have an unload area for our construction materials on this side of the train station, so that we aren't contributing more to the traffic on these roads. Alright, so now that we have this truck station over on this side of the train station, we can now set up a new line that will take the construction materials from here and ship them over to our train station. And we'll try to share this truck stop as much as possible, but we will just have to be aware that it might get too busy and we'll need to create a new station somewhere. And so we'll start off with just 12 of these trucks, and those will come from here to here. And so now what this should allow us to do is start to take construction materials back on the return trip with these, and I think only these flatbed cars can take the construction materials. Let's just double check. So yeah, the box cars can't take construction materials with them. It looks like only the flat cars can do that. So I'm not sure exactly how much space we have per train for that. We'll have to do some math, but we'll refine that once things get worked out. We'll just set up a line. Let's just set up the line in Salt Lake City, and then we'll go from there. And I don't believe Portland does need construction materials, but it only just started requesting those, so we won't worry about that for a little bit here. And so for Salt Lake City, we're going to need a new truck stop for the construction materials. This might be something we can get back here. It's not going to be too pretty. Let's see if maybe there's a better spot we can maybe get this. Right here wouldn't be bad. I really like the fact that now these snap to corner intersections. So I think we'll do that. It helps offset this road depot here. We'll just have to throw in some cargo buildings. We'll get 2 here. And maybe we'll just throw in 2 more on the other side. We'll worry about that later. But now we should be able to use this to unload construction materials right in this area of the city. This looks like it covers most of them. And that will need to be at a rate of about 240. And then I believe all we have to do is set up a new line. Actually, first, let's make sure this is connected to the train station, which it is. But now we'll set up this new line from here to our construction materials truck stop. And so the last thing we should have to do is specify here in Houston, we want it loading construction materials, and it looks like it is checked to unload those construction materials out in Salt Lake City. And so just to help accommodate this, we are going to have to upgrade this line rate. And since it's a 1-to-1 for stone to construction materials, we just have to add up the 100 needed in Houston with the 250 needed in Salt Lake City, and that'll give us a line rate of 350. So we'll just duplicate these vehicles, and we're not going to go much higher than that because I'm worried about the stress it'll put on some of our roads, but that should be good enough now to where we can iron out the finer details later on. Alright, so now we do have some construction materials heading back on the return trip on these trains now. So that's exciting to see. Eventually that'll make its way into Salt Lake City, and we'll see Salt Lake City get even bigger, as it looks like it's already starting to fill out most of the grid that we built out in the last video. And so now I think we're going to take a look at everything we've done in this video so far, and then when we come back, we'll take a look and make sure everything else that we touched upon in this video is running as it should, and then we'll begin to talk about some future projects that we can work on. Alright, and now that we're back, let's take a look at everything that we've built so far in this video. We did just take a look at this whole construction materials plant, so we're not going to go over too much with it. I did change this road to make it a little bit shorter since I connected this path. Turns out this path was actually shorter than taking this road, so I just shortened this. We can still always come back and fill this in later, but this should be running fine. We added some more trucks. Those seem to be starting to fill out and collect the stone. It's obviously going to take a while before it gets back here, but this is upgrading. It's now upgraded to sort of the next level, so you can see it's starting to get a little bit more asphalt in there. It blends in a little bit better. I'm okay with these stone piles here, as it is fenced in by the industry itself as well as our fence. So I think this is starting to look a lot nicer in an urban context, and I'm sure as it continues to upgrade, it'll only fit the look better. So now the next area to look at is here in Lincoln, where we reset up some bus lines. Now, I'm not sure if these bus lines are being profitable at all. Yeah, it doesn't quite look like it, although these buses, most of them do seem like they're coming in pretty full. So maybe we'll just leave these running at a loss. Or maybe we could sell 2 of these buses. That's not going to help out too much, because especially this line is losing us a lot of money, but I think it's a necessary service to have these buses running, as now our train station is very full. it looks like our Lincoln to Tacoma line has pretty much been fixed by upgrading that road network there. Now we just have to worry about getting the rest of the passengers out of here, which, although the good thing is we do have the Lincoln and Tacoma line on its own platform, so it's not competing with the Pittsburgh line or the Roswell line for open spots. So it looks like our trains will always be leaving Lincoln now full, no matter where the destination is, so that'll help cover a lot of those costs. Now here it looks like this train station is now connected, and we can see here we're back to making money. For a long time we actually weren't, but now it looks like we're able to consistently earn money on this line now that this train station is fully connected. Looks like we stopped relying so much on the trucks, as even some of these trucks are maybe not getting a full load, or at least it's keeping the truck station pretty low. So that's exciting to see. So glad that's all fixed. And then moving over to Roswell, we no longer have an issue with machines here. We have a little bit of a stockpile of food, but if I remember correctly, that hasn't really changed much since we updated that line. Our buses look pretty okay. We do have a lot of people waiting here. I assume that's to get to the train station. But we do have a good amount of people, or a good amount of buses going around, so hopefully that number will just go down. But this train station looks good. And then lastly here in Pittsburgh, it looks like we still have a lot of food waiting here. So maybe we get 2 more. I don't want to go too crazy and then end up running half-empty trucks all the time. So we'll slowly keep adjusting this until it evens out, but I think for now that's good. Everything else in Pittsburgh looks to be doing just fine. And then lastly, taking a look at our Allentown line, it looks like we're starting to supply Allentown with a lot more construction materials, and it looks like it's filling out the city in response to that. So that's pretty exciting to see. We have a ton of construction materials and machines waiting here. So I think we might even get a few more of these trucks coming into Allentown. We will leave that at the 300 line rate, and then with these, I think we'll just upgrade these trucks. So we'll replace those, and hopefully that should cover all the machines demand in Allentown, as that looks like it's up to around 80. And then the last thing I want to do here is, like I mentioned before, I want to start getting started on a goods factory. So we're going to place some of those industries down that will be required for it. This is going to be something that happens sort of more or less in the background. And so I'm not a huge fan of where this one is, as we'll probably have to bring materials in through the city, with it being sort of tucked away in that location. But I do like the idea of the goods factory sort of being based out of Roswell here. So we'll place a goods factory somewhere down here. The position's not going to be final, because once we get into detailing, we will sort of adjust things. But now we can start to think about where we're going to get plastics and steel from. And now we have this chemical plant here, which I'm pretty okay with this location. I think it gives us nice options between deciding whether we want to do it by boat or if we wanted to go by train. So I think that'll give us some nice options in the future. And then thinking about where we want to bring steel from, I'm not entirely opposed to using this steel mill to fuel the goods factory as well. The only thing is that we'll need to really bring in a lot more coal and iron, and I'm not sure if we can really afford more trains at the moment. So we might have to bring some resources in from the opposite side and maybe have some more coming in this way, and then we can have a train that takes the steel all the way out to the goods factory. And so I think we can maybe get some coal mines along this side of these mountains here. So we'll get 2 of those placed for now, and then we'll want a location for some iron mines, which maybe along the backside of this mountain wouldn't be too bad because it'll be shielded away from Pittsburgh, and it also provides us a nice line into the steel mill. Now another good option could be somewhere over here, but I think this is where a lot of our oil stuff is going to come from, so we'll actually probably just leave that for the oil stuff. And I do kind of like the idea of having some iron mines out here, so we'll place 2 of these industries. Again, the orientation isn't final, as that'll get adjusted as we continue to go on. And so that should cover it for the steel portion of our goods factory. And now for the plastic side, we did say we want to use this chemical plant. And in order to get the oil for it, we have this oil refinery, which I do like the location of. I think this nice flat area up on this plateau provides a nice location for that, and it also provides a tricky puzzle figuring out how we get that down to the chemical plant. And now the only thing is figuring out where we want to get that oil from. And I think we'll get the oil from down in this location. I have some plans for this area that I think might look pretty nice later on. So I kind of want to leave this area empty for now. And now what we could do is we could either just reuse these oil wells up here, or we could make it a little bit more challenging and add some oil wells down here where we then have to deal with the incline, getting up to the oil refinery, and then getting back down to the chemical plant. I think we'll leave that decision for now. So if you guys have any input, if you think the oil wells would make sense up here closer to the oil refinery, let me know. Or if you want me to challenge myself a bit and we place them down here, we could also do that. Now we do have this oil refinery, but I don't think we want to use this one, so we'll just delete that. But let me know down in the comments which one you guys would prefer to see me fulfill. So again, the option's either up here closer to the oil refinery or down here to give ourselves a bit more of a challenge. And so with that, moving on, this segues nicely into some things we can begin working on in the future. And so as we could see in some of our other cities, our passenger networks are starting to get a little bit stressed just because the cities have grown a lot since then. We can see Houston's population is just exploding at the moment. So I think one of our more immediate needs is to address our passenger needs across the map. So buses within cities as well as the train stations connecting them. Since we can see here, some of these train stations are also getting a bit overloaded as well. So if we can start to really hammer in on those and relieve a lot of that pressure, that'll be sort of one side of the game that we won't have to look at for a little bit. So I think that'll probably be the next thing we focus on. And then eventually I want to start getting some more resources flowing through this cargo hub here. Right now I believe it's just machines and food and some tools. But it really only has 2 destinations. I guess 3 if you count Lincoln. But even then, I don't think Lincoln is technically connected. So really this hub is just connected to Roswell and Pittsburgh. So I'd like to maybe get a larger connection to Lincoln and again, this construction materials plant, figuring out how we can get that involved here. And then, of course, we have this goods factory that we just talked about. So I think those are the three major things that we're going to start to take a look into. Once we get that goods factory set up, we'll have all 6 resources on the map. So then, obviously, our next goal after that would be getting all 6 of those resources to every city. But that is far more in the future than we need to think about right now. And so I think with that, that will be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.